Why, hello YouTube, this is Baylor Mage again, and as requested by a few people in the comments, we're going to go over the Atlas strategy that I use to get myself up and into super juiced maps. As of today, I've stopped doing this strat. It's still really profitable. I just wanted to go into real juiced maps. I've started doing 12 and 14 mod corrupted maps and endgame tier 16 things, but I started yesterday with a character that was like, well, relatively weak and not a lot of money. And so I was like, well, I need a strat. I need to make money. I need to make money now. And so we settled on essences. Now, essences can be done by pretty much any character. These are done in tier 7 maps. I did them in tier 10 just to be special. I absolutely shouldn't have. It slowed me down. These can be done by any character, almost any strength. If you've got even anything remotely resembling a functioning character, this works. However, it is relatively boring to do, and that's why a lot of people don't like it. That's also why it's worth money. We're going to go over the two different variants of this strat, why it's worth money, and also how to extract the most amount of money out of it at the end. There'll be chapters at the bottom. So let's jump in game. Right, so I say in game, but it's actually the PoE Planner. So there's two things to know here. One, our essence scarabs are expensive. They are very expensive. So to start with, we were using 3 normal essence scarabs that add extra essences, as well as adding essences on the map device, as well as an ascent essence scarab, which is this one right here that says essences are found 1 tier higher. And then for the 2 different variants for our last scarab, I was using a stability on one of them. This is on the non-crystal resonance setup, and a adaptation on the other one. That is for the one that is crystal resonance. Both of these seem to be equally profitable, so you can focus on one or the other, or do flip-flop like I did. You can also do this with 1 less scarab slot and just use 2 essence scarabs instead of 3. When I first started this, I was able to buy enough juice to run like 4 maps. And then I had to run 4 maps, sell my essences, buy enough to run 8 maps, sell my essences again, buy enough to run 15, sell my essences again, and then I started getting into the juice of running like 20 maps at a time. So, how does this work? Here is a tree. I will have this tree linked. It is important to know we do not actually need this many points. The extra points are in all of the delve nodes, which is just to make you run a bit faster. I'm not actually really caring or using the sulfide here. This is just to make you run around the map faster. These maps will take you 2 to 3 minutes a map. These buffs last 60 seconds each. They give movement speed. They're the last thing you add. You absolutely don't need them. We can do this on significantly less points. Otherwise, our important stuff, we've taken essences. Oh, I need to take that off. That's part of my old thing. We're doing essences here. We get as much map sustain as we can get on both sides there. We get this essences here. This is spec'd or not spec'd, depending on which setup you do. We're going to set it. We're going to give you the one with crystal resonance. I will explain the difference in a moment. We're going to give you the one with crystal resonance first. We're going to take, this bit is not too important. This was just extra points for some scarabs. We've got essences down here and essences up here. Our extra points just go into shrines. Shrines are to move fast, and we take singular focus. Now, the difference, crystal resonance makes a map boss is guaranteed or granted a random essence modifier from any imprisoned monster you slay. Basically, whenever you kill an essence, 1 single essence mod gets thrown onto a map boss. So we do this in City Square because there are 3 map bosses, and it throws it on one of those random ones. You're not getting 3 times as much reward. You're splitting the essences on 3 different mobs. We only want to do this on maps that have multiple bosses, because otherwise by the time you get to the end of the map, you've created yourself a pinnacle encounter in low tier maps and you can't kill the thing. It is insane. So we do this in City Square. A few leagues back, they upped the minimum level to be able to get the very best essences. They only upped it to yellow tier maps. So luckily for us, City Square, which is right here, by default, I'm just going to have to D&D this guy, unfortunately. By default, City Square became tier 7, which means we're in. We can do all of our farming in City Square, tier 7. It's fantastic. However many favorite slots we've got, put all of them on City Square and just one of them on Tropical Island. We'll do the reverse of this if you want the other one, but we'll get that when we get there. This is if we want to focus on City Square essence farming. It's fantastic, made us tons of money. With this, we do not corrupt essences at all. Any corruption of essence is a pretty big gamble, and it's a gamble that has just as many positive outcomes as it's got negative outcomes, so we literally just don't corrupt any of the essences. We run around, collect essences all day. These maps do not need to be alked. These maps do not need to be chiseled. They don't need anything. You can run them white. Everything is fine. It is by far one of the easiest ways to make a ton of money. It is also worth noting, if you cannot sustain city squares, which will probably depend on how many favorite slots you've got, you can also mass buy tier 7 maps in bulk for 1 chaos apiece, and you can horizon them very cheaply into city squares because it's a native tier 7 and there just aren't that many tier 7s. So we get to spend almost all of our time in here. We'll get a few tropical island maps. We will have to, if you don't want to buy maps, you will have to flip-flop a little between the 2 strats. So this is the first strat. Then moving on to the second strat. The second strat was my tropical islands because I didn't want to buy maps. So I did both versions. So with City Square, we were using with City Square, we were using the adaptation. What do you call it? Scarab to add more essences throughout the map. With the tropical island, we use stability. I will have all of these written in a little Google Doc here, which will also be linked in the description along with the planner. So if you're not following along too well, it'll all be written here along with the planner. Also, so will any other Atlas strategy that I come up with this league. They'll all go in the same document. So, moving on to Tropical Island. We run Tropical Island, now we have to corrupt things. What do we corrupt? The best things to corrupt is anything with 3 or more shrieking essences, which is the second highest one. We corrupt those, trying to get more deafenings, which is the highest one. We also corrupt anything that is misery, envy, dread, or scorn. So meds, 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 misery, dread, envy, scorn. Remember those, they're all the purple ones. We corrupt them as well. The reason we corrupt those is because they're the only ones that turn into these specialty ones, which are specialty essences, which are worth significantly more. This strategy brought me from being able to afford 2 or 3 maps worth at the beginning of the day of juice into, over the course of one day, being able to get a 6 link, being able to buy a few different 6 or 7 div items, and putting me into like a proper juiced amount of character. So we made a ton of money doing that. All I did was I flip-flopped between the 2. However, this is the bigger bit. There is a way to make even more money out of this, and that's knowing how to use the harvest swaps and how to use Faustus to sell things efficiently so that you make the most amount of money for the least amount of your work. Unfortunately, I don't have enough stuff to demonstrate all this in the video, so I got a clip from stream to end this video where I was explaining exactly how to extract even more profit out of it to everybody there. So I'm going to attach that to the end here. That'll explain how to use the harvest bench, when it's appropriate to use the harvest bench, and how to sell all your stuff super efficiently at Faustus so we don't have to deal with bulk trading to people and we don't have to do all of the annoying stuff. All right. Here's that clip. All right. Ad break is over. So the first thing we need to do, I've already done this to all the other essences, but if we just type essence in here, grab a little bit of blue juice, we're going to take all the cheap essences at the end of the day. You don't have to do this all the time. End of the day, end of the second day, whatever. You will make profit without doing this. Just don't sell the bad essences. I take all the bad essences, throw them in here, just change them into any essence that's worth money. Even these ones are worth 4C a piece instead of 2.5. It cost me nothing. I've been pretty generous about it. You can be as strict as you like, but that's it. You're just swapping essences for another essence. All the cheap ones get swapped for ones that are more money. Now, the next question is, how do you work out what's the cheap one and what is the expensive one? Real easy. I'm using Wealthy Exile here, and I just sort by price, and it is roughly accurate. And I just take all the ones that are at the bottom that are cheap and swap them into anything in the like top third section here. And then that's it. That's the whole thing. Now, you can sell things in bulk to players individually. I hate that. I'm going to use Faustus. There are only 10 slots on Faustus. So how do we sell essences the best? Because we can only use 10 slots. Now, I'm going to leave deafening in here because I don't want to sell my specialty essences right now, but I could, because if I close those off, those would be the most expensive ones. So what we actually do is we type deafening again, because I want to only sell the deafenings. Instead of selling via price here, because this is what I use to swap them, I'm going to sell via total price instead. So we can sort by total. This is my stash tab, and it tells me I have 3.5 div worth of contempt essences. It also tells me my quantity, which is 61, which means I can just go over here and say contempt. I know I have 61 of them, and I could do divines or chaos. It depends on what the better ratio is, but we don't want to sell here. So I'm going to use chaos as an example. We do not want to just sell for this price. This price is bad. This is the instant sell price. It's fine if you're desperate or in a hurry for a little bit of money. You don't want to do this all the time because you're losing out 10 to 15% of your money every single time. Two ways to do this. The way that I normally do it, you can just press Alt and it'll show you completing trades. Those are people who already have buy orders up. I can see there's a few at 9.6, a few at 9.8, a few at 9.9, a few at 9.95. Mostly they're at 10. Mostly they're at 10C a piece. So I'm going to know.
Get your magic farm characters ready.
Good evening, honey.
Ruin my video. Thank you for the sub. I'm going to know at that point that I could just say 610, right? For my 61. And I can just place them. Ta-da. I've made money. The other way to do it is you can actually just swap these, backspace that, and it'll give you a pretty good idea of what you should be at. You just backspace that and click. This tells you what the ratio is on the other side, and then you can control click to swap them back and just set it, because now you've done it. Now, I'm not going to sell these because I've ran out of gold and I need to go kill some maps. I've only got about 20k gold left and I need my city to keep running. But
get your magic find characters ready.
We do that here. You just do the top one. You just go down the list till you fill up Faustus. Go back to mapping. Come back when you've got some sales. Do it again. It's that simple. Faustus will sell everything. You don't have to deal with players. You don't have to deal with TFT. You don't have to deal with Discord servers. Nothing. Faustus will buy everything. It's great.